Welcome on board this morning. It's wonderful to have you all with us on drive here on WildEarth with these Impala ram. And it looks like our three from Philemon's cut line. They've all managed to find each other again. I was wondering where the third one went yesterday. And it looks like they're starting to get a little bit edgy with each other. There's been a little round of not fighting, but certainly one asserting dominance over the other. And the other one jumped out the way. But it looks like they're settling down, but that's going to go on a lot more over the next few weeks. But still realising the benefits of banding together, having more eyes and ears open to detect predators. But welcome on board this morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tara, and joining me on camera this morning is Brian, and of course the thumb. You've got to be quick to catch the thumb on drive some stage, and I think I only see him once or twice, so do try and catch him. And back in front of control we have Andrew. So if you would like to send through any questions, then do send them through to questions@wildearth.tv or #Safari Live, because if you are new to this game, we are live. We're broadcasting from the world famous Juma in the Sabi Sands, and it is looking a little bit overcast, but I'm hoping the weather is going to hold for us. It is breaking up there. We've got quite a lot of high cloud, the Sirius, all those wispy clouds, and then we do have some slightly lower clouds, the stratus layer, so it is a bit lower, which the stratus layer does tend to bring rain. So we're going to keep a check out as we drive. But for those of you who did miss drive yesterday, you missed a real treat. Karula did pop out to say hello. Oh, I was so happy. I was like a little girl. We were driving past Philemon's Dip and Brian says, "Leopard," as we drove past where that little pool is. And again, I had a big bush, so I couldn't actually see behind, so I actually had a quick look, but as we drove past I didn't actually look directly left, but Brian did. So we came back and we saw a leopard drinking. So I laughed and said, "Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if it was Karula?" She turned around, looked straight at me, and I was taking pictures at the time, and she looked straight at me, and sure enough it was Karula. And I was like, "It's Karula!" And then suddenly realised that I shouted out, I went, "Ooh." So yes, I was very excited, as I'm sure all of you were when you happened to see her on screen. It was just fantastic. So we're hoping to see if we can try and catch up with her. We're going to head down towards Philemon's Dip and around Chelapan. Maybe see if we can make a circuit around that area. See if we can catch up for those of you who weren't able to catch up with her yesterday. So let's get going. I will keep my ear to the ground to see if the lions are still around. They cross through that northwestern corner right at the back, but I'm not convinced they're still there. I think we've got a slightly better chance of maybe trying to catch up with Karula. I'm hoping. She did head down towards Treehouse Dam and then came back again, and when she walked through the block, that's where they lost her, because we were this close to seeing her again, very, very close. We literally could see the vehicles, and then they said no, they've just lost her through the bush. And unfortunately we're in a slightly bad signal area, so we left the area. But we were sat with her. I didn't realise how long we were with her. It was about an hour, so we would have sat with her slightly longer. So I actually headed out a little bit early to go down to the Hyena den, and we will make our way down there. We did make our way down there yesterday, but there was no movement from the babies. The mum wasn't there, so I think the babies were tucked away in the hole just to keep out of harm's way. And I think one or two people thought they had seen, because we managed to see the big hole where they have been sitting on occasion, and we managed to brighten the screen enough that you could have a look inside. Some people get excited after we drove off, saying, "No, it was there, it was there." But I think someone went back to review the footage and they said no, it was actually a fly or something that had flown into shot. So very glad that we didn't actually miss them. We have hyena tracks here. Maybe it's worth us checking out the hyena den on Philemon's cut line, just in case Mother and Ntombi have come back again. But also, I think we need to name those two cubs down on cheetah cut line, and I think it is a male and female. So maybe you guys should send in your suggestions and see what we get back. I'll do the same this afternoon and see if we get what suggestions we get back, and maybe we name them on Monday morning, which will be my last drive.
Oh, 3 to go.
Sorry?
3 left.
I know, 3 to go, hey? Oh, it's flown. Wow, lots of hyena tracks here. Lots and lots. There was actually a splashing of rain last night. It really has flown.
Yeah.
It really feels like it just arrived a couple of days ago. But unfortunately my research, I do need to get back to it. I've left my cameras as long as I dare. But warthogs like to scratch on the camera posts and knock my cameras over, and the baboons as well. It's never a dull moment. I've even had a brown hyena chew one once. But at least we still managed to get the data from it. She was very happy about that. That's what I worry about, is getting the data from it. So yeah, so I need to return back to my little house on the mountain. Well, actually it's not a house, it's a tent. I'm living the dream, I'm living in the tent in Africa. It's quite a big tent though. I have a bookshelf in there and everything. Still lots of hyena tracks. I didn't hear any lions calling last night. Actually no, we thought we heard one further north. But then there was a big roll of thunder. But if anybody did hear any lions calling, it would be great to hear. I heard them on the camera. Now this is where she was. This is where we left her. Just in here. So I think it is worth us just checking around here just to see if she didn't come back. But I don't think she had a kill. She did look a little bit on the lean side. Nothing a good meal won't sort out. But other than that, I didn't get a chance to see if she was still suckling. Let's see if the teats were swollen. Because of course we don't know if she still has another cub. And that's exactly where we saw her drinking yesterday. But I think she definitely popped up on the right day. I think she is probably one of the most loved leopards in the world. And I think Valentine's Day was very apt for her to pop up and say hello. And I know Cal's watching, and a lot of you will know Patty, who sadly did pass away. And I'm sure Patty was with Karula yesterday, I'm sure. As a lot of our friends from WildEarth who have passed over the years, I'm sure they're here. Their hearts are always here. And I'm hoping maybe Gloria might be checking in. I have heard about Gloria, and I hope she's going to be feeling a little bit better at some stage to maybe watch a drive. Oh, hello Hornbill. Took me a little while to register. You're on the road, little one. Oh, actually we're going to check out the hyena den, weren't we? I think it is worth doing. Yellow-billed hornbill. There's one or two of them around. I haven't heard any of the dwarf mongoose. Remember, they can have this mutualistic relationship, or symbiotic relationship, where the hornbills will forage with the dwarf mongoose, and it's actually, in some areas, it's got to the point where the hornbills will wait for the dwarf mongoose to wake up, or vice versa. So each one will wait for the other, and then they'll go out foraging together. Oh, there's an ellie up ahead, just crossing the road. Been wondering where the ellies were. I've been seeing a lot of the tracks. I think it's worth maybe trying to catch up with them. We'll come back to the den in a little while, have a quick check, but see if we can catch up with the ellies for you. Thanks, Mr. Hornbill. So the two actually get the benefit from the relationship. That's why it's a mutualistic relationship. You do get what's known as a commensalism relationship, where one animal or one organism gets the benefit of the relationship and the other one, it doesn't affect it in the slightest. Something like a bird nesting in a tree, for example. From what we know, the tree doesn't have any harm done to it. It doesn't gain anything from having the bird nesting in the tree. But it's just there. So that would be a commensalistic relationship or symbiotic relationship. Symbiosis just means the relationship. That's all it means. Hello, Ellie. Oh, still scouting around from Rudderfruit. Oh, is there more at the back? Oh yeah, I can see them. I'm seeing a lot of the tracks. Hi, Sandy from Texas. Good to hear from you this morning. Sandy from Texas, just wondering about life in a tent. And I live on a reserve, so I don't worry about people breaking and entering. Just baboons, actually. Baboons can cause a bit of problem. Let's just see if we can catch up with the rest of the herd. Oh, they're all around this tree here. So that's the young bull. Wandering by himself. Let's see if we can get a little bit past the tree there. Can you see under the tree there? But I must admit, I really enjoy it. I actually enjoy living in the tent. I can hear all the animals. I've woken up to leopards calling a few times. But when my little dog Tucker growls and something growls back just behind your head, it's quite fun. But as I say, they don't know it's just made of canvas. To them it's a wall. It's quite thrilling, actually. It's quite amazing to be part of the bush like that. And on occasion he's woken me up growling. Although one time I did actually manage to have a look at what he was growling at, and it was actually a kudu. So that was probably a few months after I had him, when he was still trying to work out what these weird and wonderful creatures were. So now he's actually getting to the stage where he knows what's happening. But I think it was probably a bush pig or a honey badger or something like that. It looks like the female that was just opposite us, she could be the matriarch, because as soon as she turned to walk, the rest of the family actually turned and followed. She looks like she's got one tusk that's a little bit higher than the other. And there's a little boy see if we can't catch up with where the herd's gone, so hopefully that little boy will actually pass in front of us. But if they're going kind of on an angle there, we might have a little bit of luck with them maybe popping out around Philemon's cut line. Look like they pretty much got their marching orders. There they go. Come on, little boy, you're getting left behind. Yeah, they're moving pretty quickly actually. Okay, well let's drive, because they are going on that kind of direction. I just struggle to keep up with them at that pace. You still see the lad, or is he gone? Maybe he's gone. He might have gone up and around. So, it sounds like a few suggestions coming in for the hyenas. Fred and Ginger. That's a good one. There is... So that was from Carol. Jennifer saying Nala for the girl. Thanks for that one. Oh, Paradise Flycatcher. Sorry, Suzanne was saying Tara, and who was the other one? I missed who the other one was, but I was laughing at Tara. Tara and the Thumb, that was it. Oh, brilliant. Oh dear. Ah, is that Darla in Ohio? You might have to repeat the names. They sounded quite pretty though. Amala, which means grace. Amara. And then Nuli, which means joyful. Does she say which language? Darla, if you can just send in which language that's in, that'd be great as well. And Nula and... See, I'm forgetting them already. That one I might have to write down. Say over and over again. Oh, I think there was a day crossing the road. Pat from Massachusetts saying Ricky and Lucy. Quite a few suggestions, keep them coming in. And Dake is still here. Quite a few people saying Ricky and Lucy. Let's see. And Bonnie and Clyde. Hello, beautiful boy. Oh, how nice of him, just to stand there and look at us. Peek and boo. Samson. That's a good one. Peek and boo. I missed who Bonnie and Clyde was from. That's quite a good one as well. They are little rebels. that was a grey Daker or common Daker. Bonnie and Clyde from Sherry. Thanks, Sherry. Chuck and Charlie, Billy and Lily. I think that was from Elisa. Oh yeah. Tarzan and Jane from Lara. Oh, from Laura. That's a good one. Yeah, I think we'll check out the dam because that might just give the elephants a bit of time just to cross this bog. I thought we were a little bit higher up than what we were. We'll take a drive that side. Just see if we can catch up with them again. Riley and Ripley. Oh, we do have Hyena tracks going this way. I wonder, we might be lucky. Hey Char and Laura, welcome on board to you this morning from Happy Valley. And there is a female here. You can see the hyena. Just going to go around the side and just see if we can get a view of her. See her through there? I think baby's there. This could be Bella and her mum again. Watching something quite intently. I would say that is the Bella. Maybe she got her way after all. It'd be nice just to get that confirmation from the notches in the ears of the mother. But I would say it probably is her. I wonder what she was picking up on the wind again. Yeah, there's the notch in the top of the right ear. There we go. amazing, she's not fazed by us at all. I wonder if there's another hyena, because if she was thinking there was a predator around, she would not suckle little Impala at all. But that looks like Mum to me. Yes, lady. Quite amazing. I wouldn't have expected her to bring baby back here so quickly after she felt threatened by the possibility of lions coming through. But maybe she just didn't like the other den site. It could be that she just preferred this one. But yeah, she definitely had that jagged right ear. So, I know I was just talking about elephants as we were approaching the den site. And they were just asking about the... if you could just give me a second, if I can just answer the question, and then I'll have the names. And just in case that question pops out my head after I've got all the names. But they were wanting to know if the tusk on the elephant, I don't think it was broken. I think it just was at an odd angle, but tusks actually grow from the base. So they'd still carry on growing from the base as long as the inner part of the tooth isn't damaged. But it would never catch up to the other tusk, because obviously that bit of length would just always be there, extra to where the tusk would have broken off. But it depends on the damage to the tooth. But it sounds like we do have a few more names coming through for the hyenas at the other den. But as I say, I'm fairly sure this is Impala and her mother. She certainly had the notches in her right ear. I'd just like to see her left ear, because she did have a small notch in her left ear. But the boisterousness of the little one and the confidence that she has, I'm fairly certain it is little Impala. Which some of you might not have joined us previously. Yeah, it looks like there is a notch in her left ear. But it looks like she did come back to the den site fairly recently. I haven't been seeing any hyena tracks coming in here. It's only because we had hyena tracks close to the entrance of this den site that I thought we'd come and check it out this morning. The Impala means to hide, and she does very well. And some of you might have remembered little Impala not wanting to leave this den site. She felt very secure here. But I think she's probably around a month old, or probably about 5 weeks old now. If you want to go ahead with the names. So, Nancy sending Spanky and Darla from the Little Rascals. That's quite cool. Valentina and Coco. Who was that from? S.R. Campbell. Thanks, S.R. Campbell. Is that Bindi and Sui? From Gloria. Adam Quat and Mulikate. So quite a mixture coming in. Claire saying Corgi and Bess. Thelma and Louise from Lynn. Now obviously she's going to be keeping a very sharp eye out for anything coming around the corner, because she is in a vulnerable position at this stage when she's nursing her pup. And Valerie saying Helena and Troy. Hansel and Gretel from Colleen. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Quite a number of suggestions for those two little pups. If there's any that you're hearing that you like, then maybe send in your vote. We'll see if we can get a short list, and then we can go from there. And I will ask on Drive this afternoon as well, and I think maybe we'll name them tomorrow morning. We've got suggestions in from all over the world. Bonsai and Shenzi. I was wondering when those hyenas are going to crop up. Now I'd love to try and see if we could get a better view of the little one suckling for you, but if I move around the other side of the den, the way the den lies, we won't be able to see them at all, unfortunately. And with her lying that way, we won't be able to see her from the left side of the den either. So at this stage I think this is the best view we're going to have of her. Remember, a feeding bout can last about 15-20 minutes. But I'm hoping once the Bella's fed, she might just make an appearance again. For those of you who might have missed her. But as I say, we'll certainly be checking in on her. We'll alternate between the den sites. But very, very cool to catch up with her. I have been wondering where they've headed off. As I say, it could be that she did go down to the other den site where we visited, and maybe there was a family of warthogs that chased her off, or she maybe just didn't like the den. Maybe it was a different den site completely. Who knows? But I'm just very chuffed that. Oh, it's not. Look at that. So we have another mother with notches in her ears. This is why it's important to actually check what's going on with those ears. Or this could even be a communal den now. Could be that there's two pups here. that are from two different mothers. What a surprise! That's amazing. Actually, I'm now looking at I've been making sketches of the ears, and actually looking at my ears, so looking at the ears, I had it was actually the notches in the top of the ear on the left ear, not the right ear. This is why I do make sketches. So my mistake, everybody. Getting excited. So that's why she didn't come back to this den site. This is a different mother completely. It's not even our mother from the cheetah cut line den. She's got a notch in her right ear on the side of the right ear. So this mother, she's got a notch in her right ear. See, it's almost like she's got a flat ear. Her right ear's flat. So that's the same as our Impala mother, but on her left ear. She's got the notch on her left ear. So we have two little pups. That is obviously why she went to that hole. The other pup must have been in that hole. So we've actually got three mothers, all with pups roughly around the same age. I'd say these ones are probably just a little bit older than Timbella. Maybe slightly older than the two that are on cheetah cut line. Maybe just over 2 months old. And apparently full of beans. Again, look, there's actually a size difference between these two cubs. The one that's closest to the camera now, that's still on your screen, looks to be probably a female. She is a little bit bigger than the other one. So we might have another male and female pairing. What was that question from David in Ohio? Hi Dave from Ohio. Welcome on board to you this morning. Oh, it's wonderful. And Dave from Ohio wanting to know if hyenas build their own or dig their own holes, or do they take them over from other animals. And this is actually an old abandoned termite mound, and the hole would most likely have been dug by an aardvark trying to get some food in the form of termites. Once the termite mound has been abandoned, the termites no longer try and patch up the damage that's been done to the mound, so it stays as a hole, and there might be several holes around the mound. And they've actually found up to 50 different species of mammal or animal could actually utilise these abandoned holes. Porcupines, civets and hyenas for their offspring. jackal, that even birds have been known to nest in holes that made by aardvark. The ant-eating chat, which is a bird that we don't get here, but it does actually have a nest just in the lip of the hole. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, the ruddy shell duck as well also nests in an old abandoned aardvark burrow. So just to update anybody that may have just joined us, this is a completely different mother. We thought this was Untumbella's mother, looking at the notch in the ear, but I'd actually forgotten that the notches that are in the top of the ear are actually on the left ear rather than the right ear of the mother. So you can see quite clearly here the notch, which is missing almost like the top of her ear. And I thought I could see a notch in her left ear, but it would still be nice to get a full-on shot if she turns her head, just to see if I wasn't seeing things or whether the notch was actually there. It looks like she might have something on her left ear. You can see using those satellite dishes of ears, constantly twitching, constantly moving, trying to make sure that nothing's going to sneak up on her family. But I'd say these two are just over 2 months old. And judging by the size difference, I'd say there's a female and a little male again. Hi Sharon in Pittsburgh, welcome on board. And Sharon, the bird that's calling behind us right now is actually the black-headed oriole. But it's not its normal call, it does have a lot of other different calls. You hear them? Hi Ed, welcome on board. Oh, someone wanting to get some milk again. Not sure what you wanted to know about the genitalia of the hyena, but for those of you who aren't aware, the female has a lot of testosterone in her body, and because she's got so much testosterone in her body, the female spotted hyenas actually develop genitalia that looks like that of a male. So it's very difficult to tell the difference between the male and female by looking at the genitalia. So you'll see on these pups, they do have the genitalia that is fairly obvious actually for such a small animal. But you don't be fooled into thinking that if you're seeing something there, it's a male, because it could be a female, and it is possible that the females started increasing the testosterone levels to become more aggressive to outcompete males at carcasses, so that they're actually getting enough food to be able to suckle their pups, because the pups, it's amazing actually, they have quite a long period where they do drink milk. It can be up to about 1.5 years, which is extremely long for a mammal. They may only eat meat for the first time when they're about 5 or 6 months old, when they actually start leaving the den with the mother and going on foraging excursions. Sometimes they can bring carcasses back or bits of food back to the den site as early as them being about 2 months old, 2.5 months old. So they may get the first taste of meat at that stage. But it's still not really known how often carcasses are brought back. And I know there's been some literature about the hyenas in East Africa where they say that carcasses are absolutely not brought back. But it could be that it is slightly different here in South Africa. Maybe we have smaller clans, and when they do use a communal den site, it could be that they are still bringing food back on a more regular basis because they can fend off cubs from other mothers, and maybe it's because the clans are smaller, because the clans up in East Africa can get over 50 up to 100. But I don't think we've seen anywhere near that number around here in South Africa. It's probably 50 or under. It is likely all the 3 females that we've seen are related. But again, unless we see the females with each other, it's very difficult to say who's more dominant than the other. But she also looks to be fairly young. She's got a lot of long fur on her, and I've noticed the older animals tend to lose that long fur. As they get older, it just seems to go paler and shorter. But she has quite a bit. So I don't think she's much older than Untumbella's mother. Oh, that little pup wants to go to bed in that hole by the looks of it. Wonder if this is reminding any mothers back home of their children not wanting to go to bed. Oh, magic. You can see this little one attacking the vegetation all around the den site. If they can actually just attack some of those branches that are covering the 2 holes, that'd be cool. We get a nice clear shot of them. But they do, just almost like a teething ring, I suppose. They'll bite the vegetation as their teeth develop. And I must admit, when I first pulled into this den site, I was amazed at how much vegetation there has actually been growing back, because it was extremely bare last time we were here. Yeah, I think that one's definitely keeping Mum on her toes, that's for sure. You can actually see the dew claw actually on the inside of her right leg. You might be able to see that quite nicely. Somebody was asking about dew claws yesterday on the animals. Wow, these 2 are really busy, hey? So she does have a slight notch in her left ear, but it's not as deep as Untumbella's mother. If you can turn around again, lady, that'll be very helpful. There we go. Yeah, it's just the top of her ear again. So this lady has markings on the tops of her ears, but it's only very slight on her left ear. So it looks like you guys have got two sets of pups to name now. Impala and Temba. Impala means flower and Temba means hope. Apparently that's Zulu. And who is that one from? Georgina. Thanks, Georgina. There you go, you can actually see the genitalia there quite nicely. Hi Suzanne. Does Mum treat male pups differently to female pups? It doesn't look like it, but I think there will be that favoritism towards the more dominant of the two anyway. But you don't really see that favoritism. Where you will see it is when they suckle. The more dominant pup will actually lie against mother's belly, and the subordinate will lie at the back between the legs. So that one that we were seeing, the little boisterous one, I would say she's definitely a female. She's a lot more boisterous, and the size difference it's quite amazing, that size difference. So which also makes me think they're slightly older than the two that we saw on Cheetah Cut Line, because you can see that size difference quite nicely now. She's probably about a centimetre or two larger, but if you saw them side by side, there was definitely that difference. But you don't see the mother being too different with them, but as I say, that's one of the beauties of sitting and watching, because you pick up on this sort of stuff the more you actually sit and watch them. Ah, that's quite an interesting one. Thanks, Karen. Karen's sending through Swahili for Wild and Earth. If you can just relay those names again, that'd be great. Tori and Dinya. Tori and Indunya. Wild and Earth. Oh, Puri. Thinking I'm saying it right. I'm copying you. Puri and Dunya. We'll get there eventually. I like that one, Karen. Wild and Earth. Puri and Dunya. That could be one of the winners. Sorry, who is that from? Hi, Lulu. Lulu wanting to know how and when hyenas will hunt, and they go out usually around the evening and night time, but on a day like today there's nothing to say they wouldn't be out and about now. But they can hunt. They're very, very good hunters actually, and unfortunately we've been given this bad impression of hyenas that they always steal from lions, and lions can steal just as much from hyenas as hyenas do from lions, especially again up in the east, East Africa. I think the hyenas here are more scavengers than hunters, but as I say, there's nothing to say that they aren't hunting in their own right, and we're just not seeing it. But the pups will start to join Mum on scavenging excursions when they're about 5 or 6 months old, but the hunts they tend to only join when they're about a year old or over. Wow, these two really are busy, hey? I'm wondering how many parents are sitting watching this on a Sunday morning, having the children actually do this to them. I think this is a typical Sunday morning in many households. Ah, sorry, it wasn't from Karen, it was from Grace. Thanks, Grace. The Wild and Earth. I'm just thinking, if I just stay still, maybe they'll think I'm not here. Oh, I'm actually starting to attack that tree in front of the hole. Keep going, little pup. Kiki and Ashia. Kiki and Ashia. That's pretty. Ashia mean bright, bubbly girl. And Kiki, missed what Kiki was meaning. Ah, kiki meaning friendly. Oh, thanks, Rosie. Good to hear you're on board this morning. Rosie saying it should be Tara and Sebastian. We managed to hopefully bring hyenas into a better light even on the drives last time as well. And I hope so. I really hope that we can melt some hearts with the hyenas, especially with these little babies. Because I think hyenas are actually quite complex. And again, the more we learn about them, the more we realise how complex their society actually is. And I think it is a shame that they've been put into such a bad light. I can't get over how busy these two are. No, absolutely magical. Absolutely. So I think we'll definitely be checking in with them again, either later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. It certainly has been special just sitting and spending a bit of time with them. And the clouds, I thought they were starting to lift, but that wind is picking up again. So I think it might be worth us continuing down towards Chelapan and seeing if Karula isn't making her way around, because this is perfect weather for her to be moving. As I say, we'll either come back a little bit later this morning, this afternoon, and check in with them again. But how special has it been? It is just wonderful watching little hyena cubs, especially when they're full of beans like this as well. So keep sending your suggestions through for names if there's any that you like. And then we'll see if we can have a bit of a vote. Take some of the best ones. Actually, this has got more open now. Hello, lady. We won't stay long. Just so you can see her from a slightly different angle. Hello, beautiful girl. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Ilanga and Inyanga, Sun and Moon. That's quite a nice one. From who was it in Johannesburg? Eleanor in Johannesburg. Nice suggestion, Eleanor. You can see her right ear quite nicely there. So it almost slopes off. It's almost like someone's bitten the top of her ear off. So that is our third mother. But we shall leave her to it. Maybe she'll get a little bit of rest during the day. You can see why they do like to sleep away from the den sites as well. A little bit of peace. Thanks, lady. And once again, not moving, not even checking where we're going. Very cool. Oh, what a treat. What a treat. I'd say she may have just moved them in there today or last night, because there was a lot of tracks coming in and out of here, which made me think we should go and check out the Hyena den. And we'll just see if the elephants haven't crossed, that we saw a little bit earlier. Stay. Looks like he's getting very irritated with flies buzzing around his head. I know the feeling. Probably the oxpeckers aren't helping either. It looks like there was a second bull that he's looking at just behind the bushes. Oh, this is Zeus by the looks of it. There's that spread of the horns. Beautiful. Oh, they're such an elegant antelope, I must admit. They're one of my favourites. It's got to be awkward with those horns moving through the bush. They are a bush antelope. They spend a lot of time in the thick bush. But you can see if he tilts his head back, those horns literally lie across the body. So he can run through the bush without them getting caught in the branches. I think it's the oxpecker that's really annoying him now. amazing. If he wasn't moving, you wouldn't even know he was there. Look at that. Gone. Disappeared until he starts moving again, and that is why they freeze if there's any predators around. And the hope that the white stripes on his body help to blend him in with the background, and you can see it works really well. It does break up the outline of the body when they're standing behind the bush. It's so difficult to see him now. Until he gets annoyed by the oxpecker. And he's a little bit far away, but you still wouldn't hear him moving through the bush, because where he puts his front foot, his back foot goes directly over the top, and that reduces the sound he makes as he walks through the bush. It's an adaptation the bush antelope have, so it actually reduces the sounds they make. Obviously the plains antelope don't really have a problem with being heard, they've got a problem with being seen, because obviously being in the plains there's very little vegetation to cover them. So you don't see that adaptation in the plains antelope, and especially like the impala, they tend to live in the thicker parts of the bush, but also on the plains as well. And if you listen to impala, they're like a third of the size of kudu, and yet they do sound like they're the herd of elephants, like they should sound crashing through the bush. It really is quite amazing, but it's because they don't have that adaptation. So every time their foot meets the ground, it's new. There could be twigs or leaves or anything like that on the ground, and each foot will find something new. Whereas with the kudu, if they break a twig, it can't break in the same place twice. And it really does help to reduce that sound that they make. You'll see cats also when they're stalking, same thing. They'll put the back foot where the front foot was, again to reduce the sound that they make as they're stalking close to an antelope. And the impala have picked something up just up ahead. I wonder if it's the elephants crossing. So we'll drive on a little bit further. Maybe we'll just do a loop around Treehouse Dam and then come up towards Chelpan. Because I'm still keen to see if we can catch up with Garuda again for you. Just in case you were not able to join us yesterday. A couple of impala rams. So it's a shame they're not actually fairly close to the kudu, so you can actually see the size difference between them. I say quite beautiful. Always got time for impala. These boys are probably around the 10-year-old mark. Those horns are very long, but they're looking in their prime, they really are. Now the wind is really picking up, and animals are not a great lover of strong wind because it does confuse the senses. You can see that dominance hierarchy starting to take place. They're starting to see a few sparring males, not going into the full sparring, but certainly sorting themselves out, ready for the rut. Still wanting to have extra eyes to help them detect predators at this stage, so they they're kind of torn. Actually, I can see why that male, the one that's closest to you now, he's just in slightly better condition, even though the other one has larger horns. The male that's standing tall can see a slight thickening around the neck, and his fur is just that little bit more glossy than the other male, so that's why I think he is the slightly more dominant of the two. He was the one that was making the other male jump, but I can see why he is. That's just that little bit. Didn't mean to make you jump a little. But yeah, he's just that little bit more trim, that little bit. And it is these subtle differences that the females will pick up on and decide they want to mate with that particular male. He is slightly wider as well, as I say, just slightly better condition than the other male. And so you can see they're getting a little bit wary because this wind is a little bit choppy. They're not sure where scents are coming in because that wind is a little bit choppy, it's quite strong. Going to be a little bit difficult picking up sound as well because obviously the wind brushing or whooshing past their ears just makes life a little bit more difficult for them. Siberia, welcome on board this morning. And Siberia would like to know if any local cultures use the horns for medicinal purposes. And I know the kudu horn was used to summer meetings. They'd actually take the kudu horn, that was the spiral-horned animal we just saw, the large grey one just before the Impala. So those horns, they'd actually take out the bone. It's actually bone covered by the keratin layer, and the keratin layer, it's your fingernail, your hair, it's the same substance. So that's the brown layer. So they'll separate the brown layer from the bone, and it's almost like if they can actually disintegrate the bone a little bit, then they can actually twist the horn off. It's quite an amazing process actually. But then they'll actually drill a hole in the small end, blow into that, and then the large end is where the sound comes out. So that's the end that's coming into the base of the skull. And I have seen some guys that actually make one, and it is quite amazing. It does carry for quite a distance, and they would actually sound that to call the indaba, to call the meeting between the villages. As far as medicinal properties, I'm not sure. I'm sure they would be used by the shaman, the medicine man, in some rituals. And I was quite intrigued at, where the medicines, where the ideas come from to use, bits of plant or bits of animal. And I did ask one of my colleagues this once, and they said that it comes to them in a dream, so they'll speak to the ancestors. If someone comes to them with a problem, they'll speak to the ancestors and they'll tell them what to use and how much of what and all that sort of thing. That's where they get the information from, what to use to relieve the ailment. So horn could be part of it. Certain bones, certain parts. Oh, that wind is quite nippy. First time in the 2 weeks of being here. It's just got that little bit nippy. And yet yesterday it was like a sauna. Absolutely amazing how changeable the weather is. I was hoping we might catch up with those ellies, but it looks like they might still be in this block here somewhere. It is a very big area. No worries. We'll head up Weaver's Nest Road and we'll cut across to Chelapan and just see if we can find any tracks from the river. I haven't heard any other game drives out this morning, so I think it is just us, so we need to cover some ground a little bit to look for the tracks. Egyptian goose on the water's edge. Quite a familiar bird, I think, to quite a few people. And you'll see it on the Gary camera quite a bit as well. I think there's still 6 chicks there, which is great. It does mean there's no crocodile there. The crocodile was picking them off one by one last time we were here. Egyptian goose at Treehouse Dam. And apparently there is a goose in the hieroglyphs, and it is supposed to be the Egyptian goose that it's based on. I think it's supposed to mean son, if I remember rightly, as in son and daughter, son. Ah, there you are. Thought I could hear you. Crested barbet, unfortunately flew off that way. I'm still looking to show you an oriole. Let me just show you in the book at least. Sharon was wanting to know what bird was calling earlier. But as I say, it wasn't the normal call of the oriole. I've been hoping to try and at least show you the oriole, but I've yet to see one. There's quite a few around camp. I tend to have conversations with them first thing in the morning. But this beautiful red bill and the black head, and he's quite a big bird, so you can't mistake him for a weaver. Lots of yellow on the body as well. Really pretty bird, and such a beautiful call as well. It's very liquidy. Very little happening at Treehouse Dam this morning. It must be right above us. Yeah, they are. I can just see them, but they're right above our heads. That is the crested barbet. And it really does sound, if you can imagine a bicycle upside down, the wheel spinning, and you stick a stick inside the wheel, it does sound like that. That's the noise it would make. This guy here. So it's just very awkward for us to get. But this is the bird that's calling right now. The crested barbet. sifting through the elephant dung for fruits or insects. Magpie shrike, there it goes. Little magpie shrike. They've also got quite a liquid quality to their voice. Just like the oriole. I say, I'm hoping I get a chance to show you an oriole. It's one of their claws, but as I say, it's more liquidy than that. Ah, we have movement. Good morning. A Filamen's cut line. Welcome back, everybody. Went through a slight signal dip. Okay, so I think you must have lost me when I was saying just at the corner of where Weaver's Nest Road and the treehouse. I don't think that actually has a name, but the north of treehouse on that junction, that's where they lost Karula yesterday. She cut through the bush. So I just drove up Weaver's Nest Road. We're now heading east towards Chelapan just to see if anything is on the road from Karula track-wise. So we'll have a quick check around here, see if she pops out, and then we'll head east because there may have been an update after we closed down. I've just been speaking to Ephraim. What's there? There's something on the road here. Can you see something there? Potentially, maybe. Going which way? Going that way? That way. Just jump out and have a look quickly. Extract myself. Hyena, a very old hyena, but it is hyena. Okay. So yeah, so Ephraim said that he thought they'd gone east, so he must have maybe picked up tracks last night. So we shall see. Maybe going east along the boundary, along the cut line. We may get lucky. They may still have stuck around, but we shall see. check out Chelapan. Go from there. So unfortunately it's quite, even though it's overcast, it looks like the signal's not playing ball with us today. So if she's gone south, she might have popped out by Twin Downs, but I don't want to risk the bad signal that side. So we'll go down a little bit down Twin Downs Road, and then we'll veer off and go maybe Mamba Road or Battalier Road. Maybe try again this afternoon. Although you see, she may have crossed and she may have come up this side. Deep within her territory. But no one here today. Drive down a little bit and just see if there's any tracks. Could be that she stayed in this block here. Maybe she caught something last night. I think she was hungry, so she probably is looking out for the next meal. Very little animal movement along this road. So our tracks from yesterday. We did have a little sprinkling of rain, did notice in the camp last night. But there was a lot of thunder and lightning, but very little else. Well, not much. So maybe we go back up towards Gary Dam. Yeah, maybe we do Gary Dam Central, because let's do Nyala South and then Central. Maybe let's try that, because she does like that area. My voice decided to stay in bed this morning. Apologies, everybody. We'll catch up. But this is cat weather. It is cool. So you can see I've got my jacket on. First time in the 2 weeks. Even when it was raining, it was still pretty warm, but this wind, there's definitely a nip in the air. Definitely signals there is a change. We're going to be going into autumn very soon. Hotel Franklin. quite a smell of urine around here. Could be elephants. There's a few tracks there. It's just as we went through the drainage line. A little bit musty. Yeah, I think we're taking our road south. Maybe go up towards Buffers Hook Dam, cut across and then come down to Gary. There's a plan. There is a plan. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, stay. No, come back. Ha, 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 ha. Yes. I can actually move so we can actually see him. Oh, no, you can't. Actually, I have to find another. Right, thank you. Bird just on the edge of the wallow. What bird is this, everybody? Questions at wildearth.tv. #Safari Live. If you'll come back out to the open. Or just hop around for us, that's even better. I've mentioned them a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, with it being slightly overcast, you're not seeing those bright metallic colours. You might have seen the blue and a little bit of violet at least. Black eye, black around the cheek area. Unfortunately, he's not singing. There we go. There's another view of it. There was a couple of other birds, the green wood hoopoes, just flew behind where these guys are sitting. Bonnie! Well done, Bonnie. First off the mark there. Sandy, RC, Raisa. Well done to you all. Bonnie was first. Straight off the mark there. Well done, guys, with the Birchall starling. It is the Birchall starling. Different to the Cape glossy starling. The Birchall's has the black eye. The Cape glossy has a yellow eye. And the Birchall's has quite a long tail compared to the Cape glossy. And the Cape glossy also has more of a green tint to it rather than the blue violet. They are starting to call out. did hear a little bit. I'm just going to try and get a bit closer. You might be able to hear them. Can you hear that? You hear the bleating warbler just off to our left. For a start, we've actually got quite a melodious call. The bleating warbler will always be the bleating warbler. It has changed its name. It's a green-backed Comotra. That's what its name is now. I just think the bleating warbler is just so much better. It just describes it so much better. The birch starling, if you're watching the Juma waterhole camera, that's the bird that you hear quite a lot chirping away. They usually like to sit right next to the speakers. Pan there, around there at this stage. So we're going to come out on to Central Road and we'll make our way up towards Buffles Hook Dam, and then we'll go out onto Buffles Hook Cut Line and take the cut line straight. See if there is any tracks around. I will be surprised if they are still around in the area, but you never know, they might have come further into Juma. So we shall see. There's not been much movement on the roads this morning. We're just running along a really pretty drainage line, so I'm just having a look around here for any movement here. And when it gets colder here in South Africa, especially around the winter time, The animals don't tend to come out of the bush. They're humans. They don't like the cold, so they'll sit in the centre of the bush where it's nice and warm. And then as the sun comes up, around 8, 9 o'clock, that's when we start getting the movement. I must admit, I just said, no, we want to go out early. That's what we've heard, we have to go out early. No, not in winter time. Always. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so these clouds apparently aren't on our side today. Just hoping they're going to help us out with the signal. So what I'm going to do, we're going to head back along Vubu Road, and then we'll go up onto the cut line and head along the cut line from Buffalo's Hook. From Vubu side we'll head through to Buffalo's Hook Dam that way. Hopefully you'll stay with us. And then we might just pop down Cheetah Cut Line. Just have a look. But yeah, I think you might have just missed me saying, I was saying about the animals. When it's very cold, they tend to stay in the bush because the bushes actually help to catch a layer of air, and it stays warmer than if they're out in the open, like the plains. The roads as well may stay warm. You may find animals lying on the roads just to try and get a little bit more of the heat from, especially tarmac roads. Places like Kruger where they have the tarmac roads, you might find them lying on the ground there. And I always had to chuckle because they had guests saying, no, we've been told we've got to get out early. It's the best time to see animals. I'd be there explaining to them, no, it's true when it's in the summer and usually around the spring, autumn time as well, when it's getting quite hot during the day. Then you do get more movement as it's cooler during the mornings, early mornings and afternoons. But as you're going into winter, the animals actually want to be moving around when it is warm. So you quite often get the animals moving around 8, 9 o'clock. So I used to say to them, rather have breakfast and then we'll go out and have to drive. You'll see so much more. And I had a few people on this one drive and they were absolutely adamant they wanted to go out and drive. And it was -4 with the wind chill, I think it was. It was ridiculously cold and we just saw a hippo and that was it for all the morning. Then they believed me. But I've stopped here because this is your who dung it for this morning, just in front of me, and it's scattered out all over the place. So they're not using a toilet. They're quite small pellets. Different shapes as well. I wonder if I can actually extract myself. I can go and gather a couple for you. I can do that. Unfortunately, a lot of it has been squashed. the full effect, but hopefully you can see in there. There's the sizes there. Try to find a few that were a bit odd. But you might be able to make out there's 1 or 2 bits of leaf in there. But again, very fine matter. So questions at wildearth.tv. Hashtag Safari Live. Who dung it? What animal made this dung? So the fact it's spread out quite far might help to ID this animal for you. And as I say, that's the size of it. So quite large, but very, very fine fragments inside the dung. There you go. So who dung it? Probably one of the larger pellets that we've actually had on drive. Here's some oxpeckers. There might be some animals around the corner. So while you guys ponder the question, let's see if I can see who the oxpeckers might be sitting on. Could be they're just flying over in search of somebody. So slight change of plan, we're heading west now along Central. And then we'll head up on Vubu Road. I actually think it was this road we followed cheetahs on. 3 cheetahs. Bizarre areas to see a cheetah in. Tend to over the open plains. I think they got down somewhere around Vulture's Nest. I think they actually did cut through the bush at some stage around here, and then ended up at Treehouse Down. Very bizarre, but not completely unheard. Those oxpeckers might have just been flying over. But it is one of those birds that you do listen out as a guide, because it could mean that there's a large animal hiding in the bush, and especially if you're walking, you want that heads up very early on that you're just about to walk into something like a buffalo or a rhino. So it's one of those birds you do learn to call on very quickly. Just in case. Joyce, Matt, Donna, and Raisa coming in with the correct answer. Well done, everybody. It was giraffe. And giraffe being just a little bit larger than the rest of the pellets we've been seeing, I'd say about that sort of size. And a lot more irregular in the shape. So unfortunately it has been driven over quite a bit, but with there being leaves or fragments of leaf, giraffes are browsers. So well done. And obviously with it being strewn out all over the show, it has a very long way to fall. It's about 2 meters, and as the dung drops it just disperses. Even if they're standing underneath a tree, it'll disperse over quite a distance. But they quite often go to the toilet as they're walking, so that's why it's spread out over 3 or 4 meters sometimes. Oh. Ah. A little drop of rain might just stop us from going through to Buffles Dam. Maybe let's just go and sit on Gary Dam Wall for a little bit, just see what this weather's going to do. We might have to make a dash for Little House on the Prairie. Please hold off that just a little bit longer. It sounds like the lions may have made it onto Buffles Hook. Not the dam. Are you able to get the tracks there? Let's see if I can actually straighten up a little bit. I might be able to see them. You can see a nice one there. Yeah, that one that is almost in the centre of the screen. Just down a little bit. A little bit further left. Yeah, maybe if you can zoom out just a little bit. There we go. I thought that one was better than the one you're on, but maybe the one you're on was better. Sorry. You can go right again. Yeah, I think maybe that one is better, the one that you were on. A little bit further up. Yeah, that one there. So, that's the track there. So, another who done it this morning. Going ahead of myself now. You might be able to make out the shape. I think that one was better. You might be able to even see the trail. Now this particular animal doesn't walk with one foot behind the other. It walks both feet almost side by side, so it makes a 2-track trail. I can actually show you in the book what you're looking at, just to make it a little bit clearer for you. There we go. So that, believe it or not, is what you're looking at on your screen. So it's got 4 toes and a very large pad. Questions at wildearth.tv, #Safari Live. And I'll give you a size. It's about that big. So quite a big track. So we'll make our way up onto the wall. See who's around. So we'll just keep an eye on this weather. Oh, we have somebody back in the dam. I'm wondering if it was here yesterday. Maybe just as we went over the wall, it was just under the water. Because hippos can hold their breath for about 5 or 6 minutes. It's not very long. There we go. But obviously the 2 that were having the dispute, one of them won, because it looks like there's only one here. But other than that, not much movement. Yeah. I'd say we have been lucky with the weather so far. if it doesn't mind holding off just for a little longer, that'd be very cool. And even the hippo is deciding it's not a great day for him today. Staying well below the water's edge. Kathy, Joy, Deborah, Kim, lots of different names. Gloria, Jason, Larry, brilliant, well done guys. Coming back with the correct answer with hippo. And Raisa also, well done. Sure. Everybody knowing that track, well done everybody. So hippo having 4 toes, you can see nicely in the track, rather than the characteristic hoof, the 2 for most of the antelope. To say originally hippos were classified in with pigs and the antelope and the deer, but I never understood that classification, I must admit, because the hippo track, as you see, is very different to that of the antelope and the pigs. And now they have agreed that based on genetics, the hippo is closely related to the whale, so they are in the order Whippomorpha, which I think is probably one of the best order names ever. Whippomorpha. Okay, let's head up to quarantine. Maybe if we do head down Philemon's cut line, we might have luck with those elephants again. Maybe we can do a little bit of Rebecca's Road, but we'll see what's happening with this weather. So I don't want to be too far away from the little house on the prairie, just in case heavens decide to open. Around the quarantine, and you never know, Karula might pop out this side. Not really much in the way of tracks that I've seen so far. Apart from the hyenas, it seems to have been quite a quiet night last night. According to the weatherman, we're supposed to get around 12 mils of rain, so it could be that's the storm coming. Although 12 mils in one go is not a huge amount for Africa. I've known 30, 40 mils in one go, sometimes even higher, which is a huge downpour, but that amount of rain in one go is also not brilliant. Ooh. People in the sky, and it is, well, I'll let you guys decide. Questions at wildearth.tv, #Safari Live. What bird is hovering in the sky? Might have been able to make out the black and white underneath the wing, and a very, very short tail, very characteristic of that particular bird in flight. I just happened to see this because I've shown you the russet bush willow a couple of times, but this is quite a lot larger. If you remember, the russet bush willow seed pod was probably about that sort of size, much smaller. So this is the large fruited bush willow, and I'm just there we go. Quite often you'll find a little hole like this in these fruits, and that will be from a butterfly. I think it's called the apricot playboy. Some very strange names for butterflies. But the apricot playboy, and they utilise the seed inside to live in, and that hole is when they emerge from the seed. But quite often you'll find the holes. So you know that butterfly is here. Couldn't honestly tell you what it looks like though. I'll have to look in the book. But yeah, quite large, and apparently the oil that you get from the seed you can use as an ointment. If you've got a problem with your eye, you can use it as an eye ointment. Large fruited bush willow. As far as I know, this one's not a good tea, which is a shame because also you get a lot more for your seed. Because for the russet bush willow you have to take off the wings. But yeah, this one, don't go making a tea from this. And the bush willows, that's a very characteristic seed pod of the bush willows. Laura, RC, Derek, Shanae. It's great to hear so many different names, and also some familiar ones. RC and Raisa as well. It was a batelier. There's a bit of controversy actually as to where the name, or what the name actually means, because it's French, and I think if you read the books it's supposed to mean like tightrope walker or a trapeze artist, something to do along that sort of line. A magician as well, I think I've heard. But then there's been some French people that have said that's not the meaning of batelier at all. So where the name actually did come from, because it was supposed to have been the tightrope walker because of the way that it balances itself in flight. No, we're not going there just yet. Hopefully we won't at all. But I think they were also wanting to change the name of the batelier to the short-tailed snake eagle. promised you I'd show you a hibiscus flower. This is the hibiscus. Am I a bit close? Am I okay? Okay. So I've been seeing a few hibiscus along the way. So very characteristic, this pale yellow and the dark colour on the inside. And what's amazing is if you see these flowers under UV light, they look very, very different. And quite often there's lines, and the veins actually of the flower show up under UV. And that's what the insects see, and it's almost like a landing strip for them. They're guiding the insect into the centre of the flower where they can gather the pollen. And obviously as they move from flower to flower, they drop the pollen off. And that's how the pollen gets dispersed amongst the flowers. And there are some birds that can see in UV. Kestrels in particular. And apparently kestrels can actually see rodent runs because of the urine. They'll actually see that urine very clearly because they can see the UV. So when they're hovering, they're actually seeing that UV trail left behind by the rodents. Nature is amazing. Have you felt any more drops? I haven't yet. We might be able to risk Rebecca's Road and just do a little loop around here. Oh, there's our Impala herd. Hello, ladies. Ah, that's another one. Thanks, Diane. Battalier meaning tumbler as well. Yeah, I've heard all of those translations. I've forgotten about the tumbler. So a lot of, certainly, they all seem to be centred around, sort of the circus acts and things. But as I say, then I have spoken to some other French people and say no, that's not the translation at all. But I can't remember what they said it was. Even the Impala herd taking shelter in the thicker bushes at this stage. You can still see those white tails flicking every so often just to make sure that everyone knows it's okay. And as I say, they are mixed feeders, so that's why you'll find them in the bush or out on the plains. They eat leaves as well as grass, depending on the time of year and what's available. And if you've ever noticed, for me, Impala always look in really good condition. And they do groom each other. So it's known as allo grooming. They get as much of the ticks and the parasites off each other as possible, and it strengthens the bonds within the herd. But they have a slight adaptation to help them with that, and that's the teeth. And the teeth are slightly loose in the bottom of their jaw, so they can move very slightly, about a mil or two, and that acts like a comb, and they can comb out more ticks and parasites and dead fur, and that's why they always seem to look in really good condition. And even males will groom males, females in the herd with the other females, youngsters. It just keeps the herd in good condition. And you can see again the wind just swirling around, and they're just trying to get as much information on what lies ahead as possible. I've actually seen rhinos get very jumpy when it gets windy like this. And again, I think it's because of all the winds just literally whistling past their ears and coming from all different directions. And they do get very upset and very jumpy. And I've actually seen them get spooked enough that they just start running off and head for somewhere that's a little bit more sheltered. And there is the ram. There we go, that's the roar. Although it was a bit of a pathetic roar, I must admit. Come on, you can do better than that. You can see he's actually starting to rub his head on the branch, the bush, and he has a gland between his eyes. So that's marking his territory there. I can see there's a couple of bachelors a few meters to my left, and that's where he's looking now actually. But it won't be long before you actually start to hear that roar a lot on the camera, and they usually follow it up with a few snorts as well, short bursts. Yep, well, that's put us in our place anyway. And he didn't feel he had to give it his all. Let's go down and just have another look while the herd are all starting to come out. Maybe there's some people on board who haven't seen our Impala baby, and they are going to be growing very rapidly. They'll be about half the size of the adults now, even after 2 months. They're about 4 months, 5 months. They're almost going to be the same size as the adults. But again, they have to grow rapidly. If they don't, they stay small, they're susceptible to a lot more predators. So it's important to grow as quickly as possible. You should still be able to see 1 or 2 of the small ones. There's one actually just on the right there. And unfortunately, Impala pretty much are eaten by everything, hence such large herds. And when they are younger, they're susceptible to eagles, black eagles or Varose eagles as they're now called, to take baby Impala. Jackal are capable of taking down fully grown female Impala, even by themselves on occasion, but often work as a family. Quick snack for lions, one of the main food sources for the leopards. So even pythons, we've actually, on my old reserve we had a large rock python that ate a fully grown female Impala. Hi, Denise from Pennsylvania. Oh, there's a swallow that just flew in. I don't know if it flew into shot or not. But Denise wanting to know if there's any monkeys or baboons in the area. And there are. We have seen the monkeys on occasion, but they're very difficult to detect in the trees unless you see them or hear them calling. But if you see them, sometimes you see them on the ground. But they definitely are masters at hiding away in the tops of the trees where you can't see them. And certainly around by the Juma waterhole camera, that's a very good place to see them, as they like to terrorise the lodge. It really is amazing, the baboons and monkeys. There's a lodge there. They'll make sure that they make a pit stop there. They know where there's free food. There you go, there's a female on your screen now, grooming one female, and then she'll groom, and they'll take it in turns. And when she stops, it'll be the other female's turn. You can see the females at the back browsing on the trees and the females at the front grazing. Well, the sun's starting to come out a little bit. I think let's try Rebecca's Road. I said, I think we'll have to leave Buffalo's Hook down until maybe even this afternoon. Maybe we can try Rebecca's, at least. Clouds look like they're lifting, but this lot look a little bit ominous. Wow, it was nice and sheltered there. Sure, I can feel the wind again. It was actually getting quite calm down there. Hi, Joe. Joe wanting to know if the smaller impala are kept in the centre of the herd when they're fleeing from a predator. Yeah, generally speaking, if there is a threat, they will herd the young into the centre. But the young tend to congregate together anyway. They kind of form a crash. They all congregate together. But as I say, if a predator actually charges, then they tend to just try and follow their mum if they're close by, or an adult, and just run for safety. And that is what impala do best, and that's why you'll find the baby impala actually running in circles sometimes, just so it builds up their muscles and their strength, ready for when they do have to flee from a predator and their life depends on it. So we're heading back towards Philemon's cut line, and we'll take Rebecca's Road. Those elephants, they'll come out of the block that they went into. Thanks, Penny. And great to hear you and Opa Bobby are on board. Hope the weather is nice in Durban. We sent bad weather this way. But we do need the rain, I must admit. I think these dams really need to have a decent fill. That's one of the good points about so much rain in such a short space of time. At least the runoff will make the dams a little bit fuller. But Penny saying that, was it Francois Leverett, I think, named the battle there after a tightrope walker. So I've always heard the tightrope walker cropping up quite often, but the Latin name actually translates as pretty face and lack of tail. That's what the Latin name actually means. just having a quick look around here, because this is where we did find Karuna yesterday. You never know. History might repeat itself. She might have been hiding out here. She was actually drinking here and then walked off and hid down there. It could just be that it was... Oh, I just felt a drop. It could just be that she was waiting out the heat in the drainage line where it would be nice and cool. I might be pushing my luck trying to go to Rebecca's room. Let's go along Filman's cut line again and just see if there's any that haven't popped out, because at least I can still run back. To a little house on the prairie. Please, just another half an hour. Just hold off for another half an hour. And then you can open the heavens and we can have that beautiful downpour. There's something very satisfying about having the rain, especially after quite a long dry period. And you can smell the rain when it's on its way. And the smell of the bush after the rain's fallen. Oh, it's divine. It really is divine. It's just that sweet smell, and it's... I don't know, I don't know how you can describe it unless you've actually experienced it. I don't think there's anything else that smells like it. Boys are still here, sorting out your differences. Hi Mike, welcome on board this morning. Mike wanting to know how often big cats need to hunt. And it does depend on what they've eaten. If they've eaten something small like a scrub hare or a francolin or something, then that's not really going to see them through more than a day. So they wouldn't need to hunt. They might even want to try and catch something else fairly soon after it, like a squirrel or something. It'll just keep the wolf at bay. But if they've got a big animal, then that can last them for quite a while. So if you're talking about a leopard, if they hunt an impala, for example, the impala might last them 4 or 5 days feeding on it, and then another couple of days afterwards to digest it. So you could look at about a week for an impala, depending on obviously how much or how big the impala is, if it's an adult impala. If it's a baby impala, maybe a day or two, if that. If you're talking about lions, if they've got a buffalo, again it'll depend on how many lions are fed on that buffalo. But a small pride of lions, maybe 4 or 5, we've known the buffalo to last them a good week and a half. No sign of these eddies popping out. And if you're talking about wild dog, a pack can feed on an impala, and literally that impala is gone within 10 minutes. Feeling rain. I thought maybe those clouds were moving away from us. No one can put the raincoat on. Keep driving.
1 minute. 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 1 minute
prairie. Stop there for a little while. And actually wild dogs tend to feed if there's enough food available. They'll tend to have meal times. They'll go out in the morning and try and hunt for breakfast, and in the afternoon for dinner. I seem to remember one of the more successful carnivores. Most of their hunts are being successful, whereas the cats, it tends to drop. I think the cheetah, if I remember rightly, is one of the more successful, but you're talking about in the 30s, 40s percentage of hunts ending successfully. Lions slightly more successful than leopards. Nope, I definitely don't need to be in Pennsylvania, thank you. Was that Bobby? So if I think it's cold here, I should be in Pennsylvania. No, I've seen those pictures. No. -6 degrees outside, Celsius. No. That does not sound like fun at all. I'm sure it's fine if you're geared up for it. But everyone always laughs at me because, obviously being from the UK, we should be used to the cold. But like I keep saying to everyone, I think because the cold is just a constant cold, so there's not much in the way of fluctuation, whereas in South Africa, it does fluctuate a lot. Have the extremes, and I think being from the UK, my body doesn't really cope with the extremes. Okay, we're almost at the little house. Feel the rain coming down a little bit more. Undercover because obviously we have quite a lot of technical gear on board, so we don't want to damage that with the rain. I thought I was pushing it a little bit, but I thought, you know, it's worth trying, just in case those ellies were there, but well, you can't control the weather, unfortunately. But I'm hoping it's not going to get too heavy for a nice drive this afternoon as well, but hey, at least we managed to see those two hyena cubs. That was June. There is something very special about watching young animals, and even the impala. I do love watching them, especially when they do get on a beautiful sunny morning and they do that figure of eight and they just chase each other, the wildebeest as well. And play is just so important to baby animals because, as I said before, they have to build up their muscles, build up the strength, build up the skills, and even when a cub or the carnivores actually start playing and they're pouncing on each other, they're learning the skills of how to hunt and the biting and everything. Also, as I said before about the hyenas biting the vegetation, it's strengthening those jaws, the muscles around the jaw, which is going to be very important for them as they get older. But I'm hoping we will not have too much of a wait. Here I was trying to work out which direction the clouds were moving in. I say the wind is coming from that direction, but it's been coming from this direction as well, so I thought maybe it would pass that side, but I think we're just on the edge of that rain cloud. So we might just have time, once the rain subsides, to go up Rebecca's Road, but we'll have to see. But otherwise, in the meantime, if you have any questions, send them through to questions@wildearth.tv or #SafariLive. And also, it'd be great to hear where you are from this morning, where you're joining us in the world. So if you would like to send in, let's just hear from where you are joining us live here on Safari in South Africa on a slightly rainy Sunday morning. But at least the rain held off for a good portion of the drive. That I can definitely be grateful for. There's no movement in the trees from the monkeys. I was hoping maybe being around by Gowrie Dam we'd maybe run into the monkeys. We do have the vervet monkeys with the black face, and they're about that sort of height. We also get the Chacma baboon as well, although the troop that used to live around here, the Gowrie gang, have moved away by the looks of it. They were a very small troop. I'm not surprised that they did peter out, because I think a very small troop, it's very difficult for them to survive. But they can build, or they can get up to about 100 strong in the troops, so that you can get very large groups of baboons. I haven't seen them here at Djuma, but maybe further afield, especially in Kruger. And remember, Kruger's not too far away. Where we are now, Kruger's actually in that direction, and you often see them walking along the road, and there's hundreds of the baboons, and they're all sitting on the roads and playing with each other, and quite often just walk down the side of the road and just look at you as you drive past, or they walk past you. It's quite funny. I'd love to know what's going through their minds. We also have the bush babies, and as the night is starting to pull in, we are starting to be able to use the spotlight a little bit, so we can look for the eyes of the bush babies, the eyes glowing back, and they've got this beautiful red colour, very large, and if you do see these very large red eyes in the trees, you know you've got a bush baby, and the eyes are large so that they can try and absorb as much light as possible, so they can actually see where they're going at night. Funny little fact with the bush babies, they actually urinate on their hands and their feet, so that as they walk along the branches they actually mark the territory. I know squirrel monkeys do that as well. So squirrel monkeys will mark the territory by putting urine on the feet. And as I say, we know that the rhinos do that. They scrape their feet in the dung so that they have the scent on their feet, and as they walk, they mark the territory. So we have the lesser Galego or bush baby, and we have the thick-tailed bush baby as well. Lesser is about that height without the tail, and the greater is about that big the thick-tailed. I always think it should be called the greater, but yeah, thick-tailed is about that big, and they've got this beautiful thick bushy tail. And they can overlap in areas, so where I'm studying my leopards, that's where they actually overlap, and I get both the thick-tailed and the lesser in camp at certain times. I've not actually seen them together in the same tree, but you do get them coming over. So one will push in for a few days, and then the other one will come in for a few days. So that's quite cool. And then the fifth primate that we have in South Africa is the samanga monkey, a little bit bigger than the vervet monkey, and they've got quite large cheeks. They sort of puff the cheeks out, and that's quite grey in colour as well. And they surprise. The gum is very sweet to taste, and if we weren't so used to refined sugars, it would be very sweet to us as well. And that's been sold in years gone by as Cape gum. And they'll scratch the tree with their teeth. They'll actually use the teeth to gouge out a mark in the tree, and the tree will use the sap to try and heal itself, and it's the sap that is the gum. And the bush babies will come back after a few minutes. They'll go to each tree, they'll gouge out a little mark, and then they'll go and collect the gum that seeps out. Very clever. But the samanga monkey is also one of their favourite trees, the sweet thorn. And the samanga monkey is not supposed to be in the mountains, apparently, but we actually caught it on camera trap. And I could not believe it. Everyone thought I was smoking something that day. And I was like, no, I'm definitely seeing a samanga monkey. And it was stood right in front of the camera trap. And boulders brass, up on top of the mountain, which is very, it has very little cover, but the grass is very short. The highest you get is about this sort of height. And he was sat there right in front of the camera. And I think he must have been pushing in from another troop. The closest troop to us was about an hour and a half away, drive-wise. And that was the closest troop around Graskop. And apparently, yeah, as I say, he might well have been leaving that troop, going in search of other monkeys in the area. Apparently there was actually 3 other sightings of samanga monkey around our valley. So he was being very active. But I don't think he stayed. It'd be nice to know if he did. But for those of you who might not have seen my camera trap, I actually brought this on drop to study the leopards with. So we don't get to see the leopards very often. We do sometimes see them. We are about due to see them. It's been a few months since I've seen a leopard on the property. But we get them on camera trap. I'd say roughly about 30, 40 sightings of them. Some of them you literally just get a tail. Sometimes you get the leg that's in focus, and that's about it. Sometimes you get them standing right in front of the camera trap. So the sensors are here, and then this is the lens, and then we have the infrared flash at the top. And I actually do think animals do detect some form of infrared, but there is a little LED that flashes red and blue, which might also give it away. So that's the camera itself. You can actually open up the back, and you have the screen at the back, so we can actually see pictures in the field. But quite often I just take the card out, take it back to camp, and then go through the pictures individually, see what we've got, identify it. If it's a leopard, I split that off, and if it's a carnivore, that also gets split off into whatever carnivore it is. So yeah, that is what I use. I've got about 30 to 40 of these camera traps, and I know there's some viewers on board who have actually donated camera traps, because I actually had a little scheme where people could buy a camera trap for me. I'd place it out in the field as part of the study, and then they would get their pictures. So whatever the camera trap would take, to get a selection of pictures. So it could be the back end of a kudu, it could be the leg of a leopard, it could be absolutely anything, and they get those pictures every month. So that's how we managed to get a lot of the cameras. So thanks to anybody who's watching who donated a camera to help with the research. It really has helped, and we've actually got about 2.5 years worth of data, and I'm hoping to get another year, which it'll end in October, so that'll be 3 years worth of data, and I'll be able to hopefully see if there's been any changes in the way that the leopards have been utilising the property, working out the habitats that they like. So I've got this very unique situation where I have grassland up in the mountains, and then down in the valleys I've got savanna, which is slightly different to what we've got here. So this is quite a woody savanna. We've got slightly thicker savanna areas, so not as many open areas as what we do here. But leopards are supposed to avoid open areas, and we've seen Karula and her family utilise this open area a lot and other areas. And as I say, I've actually got the mountains where there's very little cover, and these leopards are using that area a lot. So that's going to be my next paper, talking about the habitat selection, and then also seeing when the leopards are more active in temperatures and moon phase and all that sort of thing. So that's where that side of the research is going to come from, all the camera traps here. And definitely, I must say a huge thank you to those people out there who helped me ID the leopards as well. I do have a few of them on board. Raisa's one of them, I keep hearing Raisa. And I have a lot of the ID kits that the leopards, all the pictures that I get from the leopards, I put into an ID kit, and once I say, right, okay, that leopard is definitely that particular animal, then I put that picture in the ID kit, so we have quite a comprehensive animal ID. And I send these ID kits to my citizen scientists, and I'll send them some pictures each month from the different camera traps to try and identify. And as I say, sometimes they get beautiful clear shots, and they're during the day, and they're not too difficult to ID, but then we get some more difficult ones, and literally the nighttime shots, sometimes all you get is the inside leg pattern and that can be a little bit more challenging, and then you have like 50 or 60 of these to go through each month, so it's quite a lot of work. So thank you to the citizen scientists out there as well. But if you do have any questions while we're sat here, I has it stopped raining? It feels a little bit lighter. It looks a little bit brighter. I'm not hearing the rain. Maybe we can actually sneak out again. I think it might be worth having a go. And sorry, can you just repeat that last question? Just make sure I'm not taking the aerial off there, Jeffrey. Jeffrey in Texas, welcome on board, Jeffrey. And Jeffrey in Texas would like to know if the Dacre dung is not safe to handle because it seems to be more of an omnivore than a herbivore. And to be honest, I very rarely see Dacre dung. You don't tend to see it very often. It's very small pellets. But yeah, you'd want to rather avoid picking up Dacre dung because of their odd diet for an antelope. But see if we've got any emails coming back from where people are in the world. Oh, Cape Turtle Dove. It's always great to hear where people are from. We had somebody from Israel on board yesterday afternoon, and we've had New Zealand, we had a lot of America. I'd love to have a map actually, we have a pin for everybody, for each state. There's a lot of people from the UK, which obviously works in with the time zone. The morning, there's not too many from the UK in the morning, because I think Safari starts at 4 and ends at 6, so there's some hardcore viewers on board. I know Rosie's on board from Portsmouth. Was it Portsmouth or Plymouth? I always get those two mixed up, I don't know why. But on the southern coast anyway. realised we were so close to the end of drive. Okay, well we'll have to do another shouting from wherever people are in the world on tomorrow's drive instead, I think. We'll do that a little bit earlier on drive. And this afternoon. Yeah, we'll do it this afternoons and tomorrow mornings. Yeah, the Impalas have come out a little bit more. I thought maybe Karula might just utilise the weather. She might still do. Well, there's our Impala herd again, some of them settling in. So hopefully the rain is going to fall. It would be nice to have very heavy rain to fill those dams. But unfortunately it did stop play a little bit, but it was still great to have those hyenas and the Impala behind me and a few other bits and pieces. Well done on the Who Dung It. But for myself and the rest of the crew, goodbye for now, and we'll see you again this afternoon. Take care, everybody.